does Death Stranding get good at any point?
I would tell you if I ever took mine out of the cellophane.
Really good.
I'm a bit bored right now.
Oh, fuck off. No, it's good. It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, so if you guys are like, I want to do like some good, but I really don't want to get off my couch or even my phone, like you can literally just play this game and it'll plant trees for you.
And you have Shrieky Hot Bird Girl.
Sindel?
No, it's not Sindel. It's literally like a harpy. She's again, she just kind of she feels like a throwaway character.
Did you watch Mortal Kombat?
yeah,
like are you sure you didn't watch some weird Monster Girl anime?
It felt that
way. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Hey Paul podcast. I, of course, am your host, Jonathan Trussler. Here with me today, we have Francis. Please wave.
Hey, everybody.
We have Heather. We have Jon Davis.
Hello.
And we have Josh.
Howdy.
There we go. Now you've all put names to faces. Because I'm sure you're watching this on YouTube. You better be. You better not just be kind of closing the tab and going to do something else. We want you to watch this. I'm videoing this for a reason. Anyway, okay, well, that's enough of the intense intro. Intense.
We're sorry for John.
I don't always start my podcast by being passive aggressive towards the viewers who are watching this in the future. Anyway, right, so we have a fun podcast in store for you today. I think we should get right into it with some viewer questions, and I will be reading them out now. Okay, so Mad Coco G asks, if anyone on the show has seen the new Mortal Kombat, is that, along with Sonic, possibly the start of better video game adaptations being on the upswing?
I saw it and I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty much your standard summer popcorn flick. You know, turn off your brain, just take in the nonsense and over-the-top violence, and it is what it is. It's just about as good as the other two Mortal Kombat games, or movies, for what it's worth. Cole, the new main character, feels like kind of a throwaway, though. I couldn't really find myself getting invested in him. Like, his thing is literal plot armor. At one point, he just gets armor when he superpowers up, and you spend half the movie just not caring about the guy, and then he becomes, the star of the show, I guess, but I wasn't interested in whatsoever. I just wanted to see Scorpion and Sub-Zero go at it. That last fight was...
Is it more like because I haven't seen it and I want to see it and I'm a massive fan of Mortal Kombat, is it more like the older style of games or more like the newer style of games, or, how would you best?
There's so much focus on the characters outside of combat that it's really hard to say. They bring back some characters you wouldn't expect, like, Stryker from Mortal Kombat 3 and stuff. Or not Stryker, I'm sorry. But, dude with the crowbars, come on, help me out. It's falling out of my head.
Cabal.
Yes, Cabal. Cabal's in it, and he's okay, I guess. There's a general dude with a sledgehammer who I don't believe was in any of the games I played. That he just
Kotal Khan.
No. He's General something or other, and he's silly. He just looks like an orc with a hammer. I didn't care about him very much. And you have Shrieky Hot Bird Girl.
Sindel?
No, it's not Sindel. It's literally like a harpy. She's again, she just kind of she feels like a throwaway character.
Did you watch Mortal Kombat?
Are you sure you didn't watch some weird Monster Girl anime?
It felt that way. And my biggest thing, the first and final fights between Sub-Zero and Scorpion, the choreography is awesome. They're really fun to watch. The thing is, after that, it's pretty much a training montage for an hour and a half. Okay, until they finally get to the actual fights. And they all unfold, save for the final fight, at once. As, this montage of them just going head-to-head for 5 seconds with one fight, then another fight, then another fight. And because of that, it kind of feels really weightless, Nothing's really impactful. You're just kind of watching a little highlight reels of these people as they get killed off over a span of 5 minutes. It's just not interesting.
That's always a shame.
That was probably my... What's that?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were finished.
No, it feels more like you're watching a music video. You know what I mean? You can't get invested in any one fight because it's just panning back and forth to so much shit. Like, I think my biggest problem with the Marvel movies, and I know that some people probably won't be happy about this, but just there's so much going on at once. Like, you look at the final fights where everyone clashes, you know, the waves of the good guys and the bad guys running at each other, and they get head to head, and they just start throwing punches and nuclear blasts and all that nonsense. Like, that just... It's pretty much what you get from Mortal Kombat. Nothing. It feels like it's all eye candy, but no substance. Like you're not really watching two characters go toe to toe. There's nothing intimate about it. You know, it's a highlight reel, and because of that, I couldn't find myself getting super interested. But the Scorpion and Sub-Zero fights, I really do think save it. And Kano's actor was fantastic, so it was fun. I mean.
So do we think this represents a upswing, as Mad Coco G put it, along with Sonic and everything?
I guess. I mean, I wasn't crazy about Sonic.
Right. You weren't that crazy
It was
about
good. It was enjoyable. I liked watching it once. But we're still kind of at the point where they're primarily novelty. You know what I mean?
Right,
it's a lot of fan service, and Mortal Kombat was really guilty of the fan service bit. I mean, I'm kind of one and done with it, you know? So, that being said, I still think, I guess they probably have a pretty long way to go before they get to the point where there's something you're going to want to revisit, at least in my opinion.
Right.
I think the Last of Us TV series, I keep going on about Last of Us. I feel like every time I come on here, I talk about The Last of Us. Yeah. But I feel like that HBO series that's coming out, I think that's going to be the litmus test for video games making that transition over to, a film, TV media, and whether that's going to be effective or not.
There's a lot more substance to work with than Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
You know,
because Mortal Kombat is like, ooh, go fight, boom. Like,
piss and vinegar and buckets of blood, and that's really all you have. You know,
is
that
it
make
any
more sense?
You're on mute.
Yeah, is it really any better or worse than, say, like Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Kylie Minogue? Again, it's a bit of a laugh, and there were some fun fight sequences in it. Have things really changed that much in 25 years?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
Trey.
mean, Detective Pikachu is pretty good, I thought, as far as the current movies. It was also pretty insane.
That was kind of a unique twist, though. They did a lot.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, that's one thing, though, is that I think that there's a difference between doing let's play out the video game, like how a lot of video games tend to do, versus let's show a world building aspect of this video game universe.
Yes.
Detective Pikachu doesn't follow, it does follow a spin-off game, but it doesn't follow a spin-off game that American audiences were familiar with. This this was in Japan for a very long time before it released later on. And I say American audiences, I mean just outside of Japan. My bad. But it also was not part of the main, so it's not part of the main line. So it was a universe building thing that people were able to be like, okay, this is so separate from what I know the story is that I have played 1,000 times, right? And it was like people they were excited for like more of the universe and not a retelling of what they have seen thus far. And I think if video game movies went in that direction instead of like, hey, we're just going to play the game, but you're not going to play it, you're just going to watch it, like
right.
No, like I think that is what the direction needs to be. Or like what John was saying is, I think if you do a TV series, I think that's so much better. And something as epic as The Last of Us, that'll work, in my opinion, because you can extend things instead of just an hour and 30 minutes. You have like a really long time to go through the stories.
8 to 12 hours to expound on everything. That's a big difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that perhaps something might be lost, though, just innately lost? Like, I think a big part of The Last of Us is the stillness, the quiet, just creeping through these vast worlds. And in a show, you're going to have to fill some of that, a lot more of that with dialogue. I mean, because, you're not being entertained by, like, say, walking around. It's going to have to be, like, dialogue to events to this to that. Is that going to be lost? It probably will be.
Sure, I think so.
Look,
I don't know. Sorry, go on.
Look first like 8-10 minutes of WALL-E, the Disney movie, Pixar, had no dialogue. Like a lot of Studio Ghibli movies, they have like moments of slice of life moments where it's like, okay, you see the rolling grass, you see the train whiz by. You can have those moments. It's just, I think we look to dialogue and action to kind of fill that we think that we need that, when it's like, actually, if you do enough artistic direction, you probably don't. What I do think we'll be missing is the mechanics. You're missing mechanics. That.
I was just going to say.
I think The Last of Us, like some of the most powerful moments in that game, is the dialogue anyway. Certainly in the first and second one. So I don't think the emotional power, because they're apparently going to broadly follow the story, but like make some changes according to what I've been reading. So I don't think it will lose, that. But I think, like Heather was saying, there is. I think there probably is room for that sort of stuff where as a viewer, you can sit and take in that world, through artistic license. To refute that.
See,
generally.
I was going to say I absolutely 100% agree. I just don't know if that's what's actually going to happen. Like, I have watched a lot of those, Studio Ghibli movies, like also Mamoru Oshii's movies, like Ghost in the Shell, that sort of. There's lots of kind of long, slow panning shots where you see like the city or the countryside and really immerse it in this world. But are we going to see that in a kind of an HBO series? Or are they going to go more in a sort of a Game of Thrones kind of direction? Or, God forbid, a season 7 Game of Thrones direction where it's just this.
In defense of Game of Thrones, I thought season 1 was perfect because it was a carbon copy of the book, right? Nearly all the dialogue was lifted from the books, so they got that right. This is a whole separate debate, right? Season 8 was an absolute abomination, wasn't it? Really, let's face it.
That's my point. Like, that's I think the trap that game movies fall into, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to go from like this event in the game to that event into the game to that, trying to fit everything in. And that's kind of what the last season of Game of Thrones did. It was trying to kind of tie everything up, and there was no real time to kind of like relax and enjoy it. And that's what I think is the problem with most video game movies, is that you're taking these games that last 10, 20, 30, 40 hours, and you're trying to condense them into an hour and a half, and it's not necessarily a good idea. And perhaps the TV format, as you're saying, perhaps it will, counter that. It will provide something more long-form storytelling like we see in games.
I think so. And, with The Last of Us, there's a lot of dead air. You know what I mean? It is, like you said, it's lots of meandering through, desolate environments, scavenging around. That's stuff that we're really not going to need to see in a TV series.
Okay, so bottom line, do we feel that video game movies are on an upswing or not, or somewhere in between?
No.
I hope so.
No.
There's
what Frank
definitely
said
room to
about
grow.
Mortal Kombat. Well, what Frank said about Mortal Kombat, it just makes me very apathetic towards going to see it. Really, to be honest, I like Mortal Kombat a lot. You can probably tell, but having heard what he said about it, I don't want to waste an hour and a half of my life on that. I think it would really upset me.
Yeah, it has its moments, but again, it's still a film where you just want to turn your brain off, take it in, and forget about it as soon as you're done. It's fun while it lasts, but it's not going to stick with you. So, it's still a video game movie.
Okay, right. Are we ready to move?
Do you really play Mortal Kombat for the story?
You know what? Actually, yes, I do. So Mortal Kombat 11 actually brought out.
Okay. That's true. But
it brought out a DLC, didn't it? The first DLC in its history, a story expansion DLC, which was really good. Actually, I really enjoyed it because it was ridiculous. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever played in my life, but it was fun.
You play 11 for the story. Did you play 1 through 10?
Oh, okay, fine.
Actually had a pretty good
I played
story
9,
too,
I played 10, and I played 11, and then I played the expansion. But I think
10 had a better story than the movie, for sure.
It was pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It was
great.
Yeah. It's like Injustice. You played Injustice?
No, I'm not much of a DC guy.
I have. Yeah.
Pretty good, that story. For,
I like the
for video.
arcade one.
Yeah.
Because you get
Yeah.
the cards.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I forgot all about that.
I had a stack like this big because I was obsessed for like a full 2 months, and then I just never played it again.
It's the one. It just has like 2 big action buttons on the control panel. Right?
Yeah, but you get cards, and then you can use the cards, and you can
Yeah.
beat 10-year-olds that wander up, and you're like, haha, you don't even
Yeah,
know.
screw those guys, definitely.
I got Batman
Every
Beyond.
last
Okay, right.
Anyway.
Are we ready to move on to the next question?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, we don't want to leave out any of our beloved listeners. Okay, right. So, Nut Train asks, adding to Mad Coco G's question, what with the Uncharted movie running through development and The World Ends With You getting anime adaptation, what games would you guys love to see made into a TV series / movie / anime? And if I may be so bold as to ask another question, with Resident Evil 4 getting a VR adaptation, what are your opinions on seeing more older games getting VR adaptations? Also, what games do you think would be the best candidates for a VR adaptation? All right, okay, that's a lot of questions. You're getting quite a lot for your money there, Nut Train. So let's try and deal with the
good questions though. In fairness to Nut Train or New Train or whatever he's called, or they're called.
Yes,
I'm playing one called Zero Escape. It's series. It's the Nonary games for DS and 3DS. Oh my gosh, I need a movie, I need a show, I don't know, I just need something. It's so good. I'm playing the second one, not as like into it as I was the first one, but like I'm playing it, and I'm like, this might be the smartest game I've ever played. Like, it's really intelligent, and probably too intelligent for its own good. It gets really kind of convoluted towards the middle, but like, I need a movie on this. Like, they're for, if you don't know about it, it's these 9 people are trapped in what they believe is the Titanic, or like a replica of it, and they have to escape, and they have to get out by using math to solve like these number puzzles on the doors. Basically, they all have a number 1 through 9 on their wrist, and they can only go through a door if their digital root is the number that's on the door. So if their door number is 5, they have to add up all their numbers and get the digital root of 5 to go through. And it's like, there's betrayal and like mystery and like, oh, who did it? Who's killing us? Who's doing this thing? Oh, we have 9 hours until we die. Like, it's, it's so like good. And the twists like all the way through, there's like just twist after twist. And I'm just like, I need something. I need something now.
It's one of the few games I actually like the bad endings because they're so dramatic, and they're like, "Oh, now I have to keep playing."
Yeah,
great.
Played all 6 endings. Like, wanted more.
You think this would make for a good movie or TV adaptation? Then
anything.
Right,
I want something.
Anything. Okay.
Danganronpa's pretty similar, and that got anime.
Yeah,
so I could see it work.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid needs to be made into a film.
It is being.
They've been working on it for years.
I mean, on and off.
No, I don't been working it for years,
It's never gonna
right?
happen.
But just do it. Like,
just do it. Yeah, they were going to make.
Do we really need it? I mean, just watch all the cutscenes back to back on YouTube. You have
what do you mean? Do we need it? Of course we need it. We need David Hayter, and it's like.
Oh yeah, like 50-odd-year-old David Hayter. Brilliant.
Do you really want to do it after what Konami did to him, though?
Yeah, he would still do it. If
of
he
course
would
he's
be
still up
back
for
in
it.
a second, of course.
I think he lives through it, really.
But we need the Kojima edit, right? So, like, you get the regular 2-hour version, but then you watch the DVD version at home, and it's like a 12-hour film.
Yeah, like the Snyder Cut, but it's like so over the top. It's got some like really fucking aloof reference to something that we got no
after
idea
you watch
about.
the credits, that's the start of another 2 hours.
Yeah,
An extra cardboard boxes, obviously, as well. Man.
And turns turns out if you watched it, like the DVD version in your PS3 with the same save game data, it's like you'd unlock another thing.
That's brilliant.
I remember
a different ending.
Metal Gear Solid 4 was being like, you've been playing this game for 10 hours, please take a break. But it's like, well, I've just watched a 2-hour cutscene. It's your fault.
It's your fault, Kojima! What are you doing to me?
I'll never forget getting to the ending cutscene in Metal Gear Solid 4 before I had to go to work, and I had like 45 minutes to be there. I'm like, yes, I did it. I'm finally there. I'll get to work. Everything's good. I was 45 minutes late. I wasn't going to stop. Come on.
I know, it just never ends, does it? Like, you know what I mean?
Never.
It goes on and on. You think like, oh, he's at the graveyard, it's going to end. It's like, no, then fucking like Major Zero appears and then
Take some popcorn, use the bathroom. You're locked into this. Yeah, it's something else.
So what I would really like to see is a Command and Conquer or Red Alert movie series. I think that would be brilliant because all the cutscenes are already
there.
The cutscenes, the actors are already there. You know,
we need to do it before Tim Curry's dead.
Exactly.
We got to make this happen yesterday. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. You could have all the people, you know, from the games in the movie.
Yeah.
That's great. Just do it. Just do it, as Frank the Clacky might say.
I'm a mechanical.
Yeah, I'm a mechanical man.
I'm a mechanical man. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Do it.
Someone
go on,
starting to change
deep lore as well, isn't it? Like, you know, Red Alert, like, we've got deep lore. You know, we've got a lot to explore there.
Lots of lore, absolutely. Yeah.
No, I could see that.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any kind of ideas?
I was thinking Metal Gear too.
Yeah. So,
but you know, another one is Homeworld. Would be so fun, right? Mm-hmm. You guys played that one? I would love to see like a space odyssey of that one. Oh, it's okay. I'm not going to get into it too much, but there's a remastered collection on Steam. Just play it. Like, you're missing out.
Just play it. Not arguing with that
just
one.
Play it.
Right now.
Just play it. It's still
Fear Effect would make it pretty easy.
I was about to say that, you bastard! That's my idea!
And it's, you wouldn't have to suffer through the abysmal gameplay. You could just enjoy the story.
It's such a good story, man. Like,
we already went into this for how many hours? 6 hours.
For viewers, if you want to see me and Francis arguing about Fear Effect for 2 hours, watch this space. You may get something. Watch this space.
Did you not like it, John?
Let's just say Francis liked it rather less than I did. I won't say anything else.
Brilliant. I thought the second one was
in its heyday. It has not aged particularly well.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't aged well.
And I tend to roll my eyes at that argument because I think fun's fun. Fun's always fun. If you enjoyed it then, you'll enjoy it now. No, there are some really primitive, painful mechanics that just really soured the experience for me. I bitched and moaned to John, like I said, for about 6 hours about this one.
Yeah,
I can't do it again. I feel my blood pressure.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, like I said, if you want to hear us arguing more about Fear Effect, watch this space. Anyway,
I've got one.
Oh, go on.
I got one I can add. You're talking about Fear Effect and old video games made me think I really want a Parasite Eve movie just based on the first one.
That would be really good.
Yep.
That would be good. Or like a Shadow Hearts movie or something. Like
that'd be cool too.
Yeah. I didn't know you were a Shadow Hearts fan.
You forget this every time I. It just goes right through your head. Anyway, okay. So right, let's move on. There's actually more than one question there, so let's kind of move on. But Resident Evil 4 getting VR adaptations, what are your opinions in older games getting VR adaptations? And what games do you think would be the best candidates for a VR adaptation? Right, old games, VR adaptations, folks.
I think it's great.
I'm pretty excited about that.
As a version to games that otherwise lacked it, I'm all about it. I think Silent Hill 2 in VR would be phenomenal.
And very spooky. And I would definitely like that.
Like, imagine being in the closet during the the cutscene with during the cutscene with Pyramid Head and the weird little meat puppet, and you're peeking through the closet watching that awful scene unfold. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Seeing that in VR, traumatic. Absolutely traumatic.
Yeah, no.
If I saw that in VR, I would accidentally light the house on fire in terror somehow. I don't know how.
No, I think
Silent Hill 2 would be a great candidate.
Yeah,
I think that would add so much to these.
I mean, horror games in general are really well suited for that because I've played just regular VR games where like a character might just walk in screen and I'm already scared. I'm like, oh my gosh, where'd you come from? So like horror games, I can't do it. So yes, every horror game would be perfect in VR.
Have you played Resident Evil 7 in VR? I think that's kind of the gold standard for
we're
scary
talking
games.
about old games here, John.
I know.
It's not that old.
I know, it's still scary though. It's really good.
Okay.
I think, well, if we're going to go old games, I'm just looking through my Steam list now, actually. I was talking some cheating.
That's fine. You were cheating when you were talking about a not very old game.
I think I'm just really drawn to... Have you ever played Fear? I think that would be kind of fun.
Oh, Fear is phenomenal. Yeah.
Yes, that would be
there is the VR patch for it, to be honest.
Can I tell a quick anecdote about Fear? It's one of those very special games. So you know how it had slow motion? What I did, there was this one bit where I hit the slow motion, I threw a mine slowly through the air, like this guy was hiding around the corner, and I could just hear him say in slow motion, "What the fuck?" And then I shot the mine in midair, and he's like, fuck!
On that same note, Max Payne could be phenomenal.
Yes.
Imagine doing your bullet time dives with, the dual Vive controllers or index controllers, mowing people down, guns and kimbos. That could be phenomenal.
The only problem is when you dive around, like, you're not actually diving around in a game, like you're going to headbutt a wall or something like that. Like,
it'd be really cool to he's taken more and more of these painkillers, and maybe the vision's getting all funny, and
and you actually have to grab them and pop them in your mouth. And stuff.
That would be great. That'd be so immersive. Oh, great, and maybe
I think Max Payne is my pick.
Great.
Do you ever remember a game called Destruction Derby?
Yes.
That would be fantastic.
That would be really good in VR, I think.
Or Jet Moto, Wipeout was great in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Twisted fucking Metal.
Twisted fucking Metal. Yes. Right. I'm going to have to mark the language thing on the YouTube ad thing now.
We're
going to be demonetized, I'm afraid. One final thing from me. There's plenty of space games. But, have you played a game called Freelancer? This might be really niche. Oh, God, yes, I finally got one. It's a game made by Microsoft in 1999 for PC only, and it's probably one of my favourite space games ever, besides Elite. I think that would be really fun in VR, actually. Just rebuilt and reimagined from the ground up, because you can traverse an entire galaxy or solar system, as it were, or not even solar system, sorry, a galaxy of different places. It's as if the whole human race has emigrated to another part of the universe, and you just knock about, shooting ships and landing on planets, having shit dialogue with people. It's good. I'm not selling it.
Good.
Francis,
Colony Wars on PlayStation. You ever play that?
What's that?
What was that?
Colony Wars on PlayStation.
Oh, God, yes! Colony Wars Vengeance, Colony Wars Red Sun. Love those games. Love them.
Perfect fit for VR. Perfect.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I'm sorry, Heather, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I was saying, I'm going to get Freelancer. It sounds really good. But I can't think of any old games, but one I want to see in VR is East Shade. It's a newer one. It's from 2019, where you, are just immersed in this, beautiful nature, and, you get to paint it. I'm not selling the game, but it was one of my top 10 games for 2019.
That looks really nice. I'm watching a trailer.
Mist. There we go. Mist.
Yes!
That would be great.
Yeah.
Mist has to happen.
Yeah, if you had I think they have had Real Mist and these kind of remasters with all the just the original graphics and puzzles and stuff intact.
Yeah, they released that last year, I think.
Put it in VR. Brilliant. Job done. That would be great. Okay. Any other VR, or are we ready to move on?
I think we
could move on.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you for your questions, Mad Coco G and Nut Train. All right, so now we move on to the portion of what's everybody been playing. Since we didn't have you on last time, Francis, our beloved editor-in-chief, would you like to go first?
Sure! I've been playing the hell out of Outriders. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
For anyone who hasn't played it, it is Square Enix and People Can Fly's new co-op multiplayer shooter. It's just, I'm having a blast with the class system. My pyromancer can incinerate people through walls and make them pop like a ballpark Frank and destroy their friends. It's a good time. And every time you burn someone to a crisp, you get your health back from doing it. It just becomes this addicting cycle of blasting people to giblets, regenerating, hurting people to regenerate your armor, and doing it all over again. The quests are really fun. The multiplayer is phenomenal. My only complaint is I kind of wish it was 4 players instead of 3, because there are 4 character classes. And it'd kind of be cool to see all the different classes work together. But for what it gives you, it's a great game. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it.
Okay. Right, I had something I wanted to ask, a no spoilers question.
Mm-hmm.
Does Death Stranding get good at any point?
I would tell you if I ever took mine out of the cellophane.
Really good.
I'm a bit bored right now.
Oh, fuck off! No, it's good. It's really good. It's really good.
Really?
I played that not last year, because that was
2 years.
God, because I thought last year was 2019 because I deleted 2020 from my memory.
Yeah,
We all.
No, it's 2 years ago, and it took me a little while to get into it. But then when I was into it, I was absolutely hooked, especially the bit where you start uncovering what's actually going on, because it's
how many hours is that though? How many hours is that? I've heard people say it's 20 hours in it starts getting good.
Yeah, you got to persevere, get delivering those packages, man. Get delivering them. It's an experience, right? It's not the kind of game that you play and you get that instant gratification from it. From you do a headshot and it's wonderful, and you just have to kind of progressively build up to the exciting conclusion and finale. It's really I can't spoil it because you told me not to spoil it, so that's frustrating because I could tell you why, but it's definitely worth just persevere with it. It's a labor of love.
Okay.
It's very Kojima.
Now the whole
until we see Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien. Okay.
Yeah,
he's in it.
Wow.
Yeah, he's in it. He's one of the.
He gives you an otter suit, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's just the thing is just most Kojima games I've played, the opening, few hours, just oh wow, I am hooked. Just just literally the first riff of the first song in Snatcher. Yes. But it's just
same with Police Notes, yeah.
But did the first few hours of Death Stranding not grab you when, you go in there, a BT blows up everything, and you're just whoa!
But then after that, it's just okay, I'm walking, I'm delivering stuff. Okay, I've met this guy, and he wants me to deliver something somewhere else, and another guy wants me to deliver somewhere else. And then another guy. It's just okay. Is something kind of cool going to happen? Something interesting? I'm just kind of in that phase right now. Maybe the in between phase.
I feel really douchey. I'm like one of those red wine swillers now. It's such an interpretive game. They just don't appreciate it at all. Just too uncouth over there. It's a very self-indulgent game. You can tell the whole thing was molded solely by him and his single-mindedness.
That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking, is this Kojima the high-minded artist, not Kojima the entertainer? Because I think he can be both.
It's definitely odds. The game, I feel it kind of like predicts like social distancing. And that concept that we dealt with in 2020 and still are dealing with now, because I don't know what part of the game you got to, but everyone is like obviously isolated. You know, they can't be together because if someone dies, they blow up.
Right. Right. There you go. We're afraid of each other. We're distant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because its whole thing was like, human contact is becoming increasingly sporadic and like being very surface level, and like I found that interesting thinking about that.
I'm a bit past the bit where like he carries his bloody mum on his back.
So it literally just started then.
I'm like 5 hours in. Like, I mean, I did that bit, then I delivered like about 3 or 4 other things, and it's just like, I'm getting a bit bored now.
But it's a lot of war.
I'll persevere for you, John. I'll persevere for you. In 20 hours time, if I'm not
maybe in a month's time, we'll come back. Yeah, come back and have a chat.
Oh yeah, okay, right. In 20 hours time, I'll leave people like, oh, John, you were so right. Kojima was a genius. It's brilliant. Or I'll be like, right, you wasted 30 hours of my time, you bastard. I was waiting for it to get good, but it never did.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was with Final Fantasy 13. I put about 20 hours in, and
it never did.
40 hours. 40 hours, it gets good. And I'm just like, oh no.
I got down to Grand Pulse, and after that, I switched the game off and just threw the disc.
Yeah, that's where it's supposed to get good. And
it didn't get good though, did it? At Grand Pulse,
I didn't even get to Grand Pulse. I was about halfway there. And I was like, I'm not doing this all over again just to get to where I'm going to enjoy it. My time was
when they got
the
airship. When they got the airship, I was like, right, yes, this is a Final Fantasy game now. And then what? They just crashed it and they were just fucking walking again? Oh, for God's sake!
For you!
You know what someone said to me a long time ago about Final Fantasy 13? It used to make fun of me, and it used to really annoy me actually, because I really like Final Fantasy and I refused to accept it. Like at the time, I was like, "No, 13's a great game." It's like that game. You're playing that game again where you're running down a long corridor.
Yeah, you can't talk to anyone. You can't do any mini games. You can't do anything fun. You just run down a corridor and fight.
Running down that corridor. That's all you're going.
God. And at the end of the game, you can revisit those corridors. Oh,
thank you.
Anyway, yeah, okay. So I played a bit of Death Stranding, basically. I think I've exhausted my portion. All right, John, what have you been playing lately?
Nothing. I've been really busy with work. I've had time for 20 minutes of Resident Evil 7. No, not 7. Sorry, 8. Not really a lot of time for that. I've been playing Destiny 2 because it's a lifestyle, not a video game. You have to just stay on top of it. I have purchased Returnal. And
it's pretty good.
I've started it, but because of the puppy, I've not really had time to get properly into it. But I've heard so many good things about it, and I'm very excited to get stuck into it. What else have I done? I've been playing Elite Dangerous. I'm playing the Elite Dangerous Alpha at the moment. So when I say I've not really been playing many games, I've been playing lots of games, but not playing the games a lot at all.
Yeah.
And now the Elite Dangerous Alpha is quite interesting. So I played Star Citizen last year, and I'm a big fan of space games, as you probably established from earlier on when I was going like batshit crazy about Colony Wars and Freelancer. But what I found with the alpha so far, because the actual release is in about 2 weeks' time, it's a little. It feels empty. Like they've so for context, by what I mean by that is like they've massively expanded the world in Elite, right? They've put space stations that you can actually get out your ship and walk around in and talk to NPCs, but they just feel really incredibly wooden. I mean, they don't T-pose, like, which is great. Like they do on Star Citizen.
I like that's where our baseline is. It's like, they're not T-posing.
So that's great.
Yeah, it's not like Cyberpunk 2077, one of the most expensive games ever made, or Star Citizen, one of the most expensive games ever made. Oh God.
I just feel like the NPC dialogue is really wooden. And the space taxis, right? So they've introduced this idea you can go down onto planets and do missions and shoot people and like have like combat. So like the combat, first of all, it kind of feels like it's just been bolted on, right? Which sounds stupid because it has just been bolted on, because it wasn't really a first-person like shooter in initial instance. It was a space simulator, but it doesn't really feel like very intuitive. There's like so many keys, like for so many different functions, like and it just feels like really overwhelming, like tremendously. But like also as well, at the early stages of the alpha, there was you didn't have your ships, right? So to traverse the system that you're in, basically you had to rely on a space Uber, right? That you pick you up. And the thing is with Elite, right? It tries to do everything like realistically. So like to go from one part of the system to the other, you get in the space taxi and you'd literally be in the space taxi for about 15 minutes. Like, and it's like there's no skipping, there's no speeding up mechanic or anything like that. It's like you are literally doing, you can't even fly your ship or check your cargo or plan another route on your galaxy map. Like you're just stuck in a ship.
It's the same thing if you go to a planet with two suns and you're traveling between one sun and the other. It can take 15-20 minutes. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And like when you find a ship, it's pretty cool, right? Because I'll show you. I'll try not to reveal my shorts, but I've got like I've got the whole like. I'll get the rest of it. I've got the full. I'm a full stick wanker. Like I absolutely love like my space games. So it's really cool. I can just like ease the throttle off and like put a little bit more on, and it's fine. It's great. But yeah, when you're in a taxi, it's like I can't even get my my phone out. I can't even do anything. I'm just here. That doesn't really feel like a good gameplay experience.
One thing I was wondering, these shooter sections, are they just on the surface of planets, or are they instanced? Like, could another player actually fly with his ship to the planet you're on, having your shootout, and like land nearby you, or are these just totally separate from the main game?
So I've not had a friend join me quite yet in one of those instances because all my friends have got the alpha, so I can't really comment on that. But I was just down there with a whole bunch of randoms. So I'll have to let you know when my friends actually jump on and get it, because they've all pre-ordered Odyssey, and it comes out, like I say, in 2 weeks. I'll be able to let you know properly then, because our intention is to play together then.
All right. Okay. So, Josh, did you have any games you've been playing lately you want to talk about?
Sure. I just finished playing new Pokemon Snap, which I reviewed, and I said this in the review, but that was the first time I thought Pokemon were actual animals, because of the way they interact and like move around and are mischievous. It's really kind of unique after playing Pokemon this many years. That's the first one to do it for me. But I didn't play the first Snap, so that might have made me feel differently. I'm also playing right now R-Type Final 2 for another review, and that is, for the most part, a very good game, but there's a couple things I'm going to touch on that just really tick me off about it. Other than that, nothing huge. I've just been jumping back and forth between games I've beaten and don't need to be playing, but I'm still playing them, so.
All right. Okay, so Heather, anything you've been playing lately you've been dying to talk about?
So you heard my whole thing about the nonary games, the Zero Escape thing. I'm playing the second one right now, Virtue's Last Reward, having just voraciously gone through the first one. I was like, cool. I closed my DS, was like, immediately just got online and just bought the next one, like done, like just waiting, waited for that. Came in yesterday. So going through that now. But also last week, my whole life was new Pokemon Snap. I played the first one, for years. I would just delete the game and redo it again, see how fast I could beat it. Like, this is when I was like a little kid, like this was me trying to speedrun. So was very obsessed with it. This was my whole life. And like playing it again, like, what Josh said is right. Like, they're like real animals, but more so than the first one, because the first one, I don't know how much everyone's played it. You had like different biomes, like here's a cave, a river, a beach, whatever. And it's just one track, and they're going to do the same thing every single time. So you can really kind of like, get used to like, okay, they're going to do this here. If I throw an apple, it'll do this. And then I got like a 600 point photo, boom, done. Or a 6,000 point photo, done. So with new Pokemon Snap, you'll play the level. You can get enough points to, I guess, get up to the next level. And so now you have the beach, but it's level 1, level 2, and level 3. And each level, they'll do different things. There are also alternate routes that you can discover throughout the game. And so, like, you just spend your whole time unlocking secrets and doing little things. It's insane. It's huge. Like, I love this game. And what's cool is you can kind of do rankings, like, worldwide. And so you can see how good you are, like, against other players. And I'm like, oh, I'm in the top 800 on the beach. Like, so I'm sitting here like, take that, random letters I can't read because you're in a different language. Like, I got you. Like, so it's really fun. I feel like it's enriched just having played the first one. It's really like, this is the Pokemon Snap I've been waiting for. But at the same time, I can see it being really overwhelming too. Like, there's stuff you'll never find unless you look it up. You're like, oh, there's a whole different route in this game that I never would have guessed if I didn't look it up. So it's intense. That's been my life, those 2 games.
You'd better make a massive guide for it, Heather. Spend 2 months doing it.
Hold on. There are 214 different Pokemon that you can capture, or like snap. And then there are 4 different like star ratings for each one. And you can just stumble upon the first and the second one pretty easily. Sometimes you get the third and the fourth. But that means that you have like, I think it was 856 photos that you have to take to complete your photo decks. And I did 56 guides for Honey Pop too. I'm not gonna 856 guides.
Right. Plus, there's all the like optional missions too, and that's like 100 plus. So there's a ton you could do if you wanted to. Yeah. Those are tough.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Really
so I'm
tough.
saying I'm fine with doing like, here's 10 secrets maybe you missed. But like, if you ever want to see me again, I cannot do a full Pokemon.
We're going to have to light the Anthony signal.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, right. And then I guess this counts. My husband and I have been playing Biomutant because we got the review code for that. And he's going to be the one reviewing it, but I've been kind of watching him. I kind of looked at the guide. I can talk about a little. I'm only going to say like the baseline things, right? I'm not going to get into it too much.
Right.
But it is a lot like if it's like a cuter Fallout 3. It kind of gave me Ratchet and Clank vibes a little bit, but like not like as restrained as the PS2 era games were, obviously. Because it is open world. It is a full-blown RPG. He hasn't played a lot of games. Like, he plays one game forever. So he was like, oh, this is a lot like Saints Row because you collect things to level up your stats. So I'm like, yes, that's these games. That's how they are. So how do I say this? It's really a pretty game. Like, it's very colorful. It's very bright. It's not as anxiety-inducing, like Fallout 3 was. Like, I could only play it in spurts. But this one, it's like he's been playing for like 8-9 hours. Like, likes it a lot.
It's a pleasant apocalypse.
It's a pleasant because they're all like animals, right? And so like you don't.
It's cute
feel...
when Muppets suffer.
No, they're not suffering. It's just more like you don't feel like so on your own. Like, you know, okay, there are buildings, but also like I'm a cat thing. Like I could probably live on my own just fine. Like
to live on their own,
right? Like I'm not so helpless here,
right?
Yeah, he's really liking it. I think that I don't know what the hype is surrounding this game. I think that people will be pleasantly surprised, but I also think that they will be like oddly surprised. Like there are some surprises that I'm like they're not gonna expect. Like they're like, I don't even know what this is. I don't know how to think of this. This is weird. But overall, like really, like I think the hype is it's earned. Like it'll be good.
So I'm trying to get a feel for, because obviously, like watching trailers, I'm not really able to find a baseline here. Is it a mature title, or are we talking a lighthearted kind of apocalyptic setting? Because again, cutesy little animals, but I really can't get a feel for it from the trailer.
It's not like, I mean, I would say that probably like your son would be fine. Like that age group is probably what this is good for.
Okay.
Like it's still obviously, but like you're still shooting things. You're still like, you know, you've got a sword. You can do these things, but it's not bloody.
Right.
It's not gore, like anything like that. Like if you kill a monster, like it just kind of keels over. There's no like, oh.
Well, I mean more the atmosphere. Like, are we talking like Oddworld style, like oppressive, you know, and grim creatures, or?
No, it is lighthearted in its presentation. Okay. Yeah. We thought it was interesting too because just for the very first level, there's a very like my husband's Korean, so he's like he thought it was funny that there's like this kind of Asian-esque world in the very beginning. And he's all like, okay, like a lot of Western audience or studios always do this. Like, let's throw in lots of Asian things, like, you know, ooh, Asian. And he's just kind of like, okay. And I'm like, okay, but to be fair, Final Fantasy throws in a lot of European things and is like, ooh,
right.
castles and knights. Here we go. And he's like, yeah, okay, that's true. So it was like less cringe and more like, okay, now I get where you're coming from. You're honoring it in a fun, kind of colorful way.
Mm-hmm.
Can I was just sorry if you've there was something I wanted to talk to about John, and I just remembered that John might have to go in a moment.
Yeah, I've got about 10 minutes left.
10 minutes. Can I really quickly discuss something with John? I've just remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you?
Sorry.
Thanks for that about Biomutant, by the way. I'm really looking forward to reading your and your husband's review. Or is it your husband writing it?
He's going to review it. I'm just watching him like, okay, like, here's how you find your mech. Like, this is how you find it. Like,
I'm looking forward to reading it.
I have to discuss this with you while I've still got you here on this podcast. So, yeah, I've played Last of Us 2.
Okay.
And it's just like, wow, it's a masterpiece. It's possibly even better than the first one.
I know, right?
I just don't get how so many people didn't like it.
I mean, it's a pretty simple answer.
Well, there's two reasons why people didn't like it. I know what he's going to say. He's going to say people are bigoted. Like, you know, there's that, right? Agreed. The second one is people just didn't like the story decisions that Druckmann and his team made, but unfortunately, it's not their story; it's his story, and he can tell it how he likes. And even if you don't like the story, you have to take a moment to appreciate what he's done there and how he's contorted like you as a player constantly throughout the game. Like that's contorted is the appropriate word, because that's how I felt. I was a mangled mess. You know, by the end of the game. How did you feel?
here's the thing. Like, so many people were saying, "Oh no, it's bullshit." Oh, massive spoilers, by the way. You've been warned.
Statute of limitations is passed.
Statute of limitations is passed. So yeah, everyone was like, "Oh no, Joel shouldn't have died that way. That was really stupid to like walk into that house, even though we had no other choice. There were zombies every other direction. So yeah, I don't know about that." And they were saying, "Oh no, he went down like a punk. He shouldn't have gone down like that. He should have like beaten them all. You know, real life doesn't work like that."
He was fucking shot.
Exactly.
That was what was great about it. They'd done him dirty, like he was nobody.
And the other, that's the other thing. How do you think Ellie felt? I mean, in an ideal world, she would have liked him to, live till he was a grand old man and go out in the most awesome way ever. You know, but you don't get that. That's not real life. Yeah. And that's, I think, what that scene was really illustrating. Just like, so the pain those players are feeling. Ironically, that's kind of what Druckmann would want you to feel, isn't it? Just that pain and frustration, because that's exactly how Ellie is feeling. And
that's how I felt.
Yeah,
I felt it. I've never had a game where like my emotions were so in tune with the characters, certainly, and like how my perception of a character was so radically changed over like what is a relatively short period. You know what I mean? Like you play as Ellie for like 12 hours, 13 hours, then you switch to Abby, and then obviously that portion of the game with the Abbey, they beat you over the head like with all sorts of things, you know, like the dog, for instance, the first like 15 minutes of Abby's playthrough, the one you murdered like less than half an hour ago brutally with Ellie, and they beat you over the head. They make you play fetch with it, like, so you have to progress the game by playing fetch with this dog. It's awful. You know, and there's nothing like it. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I think if you can just let yourself kind of flow with the story and let yourself get immersed in it, rather than just kind of not accepting the fact Joel died and coming with these really pedantic reasons to kind of not enjoy yourself. Yeah, as long as you don't do that, I think, you know, it's a masterpiece. So, you know, I think it's just pedantry, really. And like another thing I liked as well is that Naughty Dog is a bit guilty of, like, you know, if Nathan Drake kills hundreds of people, but afterwards he's just joking around, like, you know, it's no big thing. But Ellie is traumatized. She's like, you know, in the end, she's going into the barn, and it's just like, you know, she's a broken person screaming, and, you know, and then she's writing in a diary. Like, I had one day where I almost didn't think about Seattle again. You know, she's just destroyed. It's just totally fucked with her mind, and that's real. And like, it's not very many games, obviously. You see that, the post-traumatic stress, but post-traumatic stress is a very real thing.
The bit where she plays the guitar at the end, that really got me. It was like, it summarised like how her spirit just got broken, you know, and quite literally her body was broken, and her last, you know, remaining connection to Joel was severed, literally.
And I think it's just like, and another thing that people are pedantic about, it's like, why didn't, you know, Ellie kill Abby? Why didn't she finish her off? And I just think it's so obvious. It's so obvious. I mean, maybe it's just kind of like me and my experiences, what I've been through, but she sees that flash, right? That as she's strangling her, she sees that flash of Joel in her mind playing the guitar, just that softness, that tenderness, just that humanity. And she thinks just
that last bit of it she really has left at this point.
Exactly, and she's thinking, you know, she's gonna orphan, you know, the kid in the boat, just as she's been effectively orphaned, and she can't do it. You know, and it's just so obvious to me, and it's like
it's great writing.
It makes sense.
I don't know, man. I kind of disagree with you there. I love this game so much, but I kind of feel like that whole last part of the game with the Rattlers, and with Abby being crucified and Ellie like scrapping with her on the beach, I just felt like it didn't need to happen, that bit. Like, that's my only criticism of the game. It went on too long, I thought.
I was fully prepared for it to end right before the Rattlers.
After, I was expecting it to end. Obviously, you had the theatre, right? Then they go to the farm, and like, you know, she can't let go. Tommy turns up and he's like, right, let's go after them. And like, Ellie's like basically saying like, no, in like the quietest voice she can. And like Dina's like, no, you can't go. You can't possibly go. And I kind of felt like that would have been a good part to end, good time to end it there, because you could have done a third, right? And you could have done a third where, they could have had that revenge story again, where like all this stuff like kind of broke down. Whereas like they dragged this bit out, and
I'd have to disagree. I don't want to wait another 7 years to kind of play the Rattlers bit. I think like Abby, she had her kind of like road to Damascus moment when she didn't kill Dina and Ellie. And I think it's fair enough. Ellie gets that moment as well.
Right.
And it doesn't, and I don't know, yeah, like I wanted to see that resolved. I wanted to think, okay, like I know that Abby is in a better place now. I know she's moved on, but I wanted to know what about Ellie? And I think that's kind of what I got. It was a little bit contrived, but I didn't mind too much. I think it was fine.
Do you think they'll do a third one?
I hope so. I think possibly different characters. Would be a good idea.
I think it's about time for that.
Yeah, like, and it kind of, and if they could make it a kind of a natural thing, like it goes from Joel to Ellie, and then maybe Ellie to someone else, maybe the Dina's kids,
right,
like that, another 14 years or whatever. Who knows? Could be.
Oh shit, man! Yeah, they did. I forgot about Ella and Dina's kid. Like they did the dad dirty, didn't they?
Yeah, just blam.
Yeah,
that's it.
I was just starting to like him as well.
Yeah, and Tommy too. It's like at first Tommy was the one who was like not sure if it was a good idea to go on that mad revenge quest, but once he's been shot like through the eye, he's just like he's embittered and stuff. I think that's just what like so great about The Last. It's just like the first one. It's not like a super happy ending. It's not like a super sad ending. It's somewhere in between. It's tragedy, hope. A lot of both, and that's what's really powerful,
I don't know. I
think
felt pretty bad to me.
Yeah, I was going to say, you need to reevaluate your definitions.
I don't know.
I felt crushed by the time the credits were rolling. I felt completely emotional.
I literally stared at a brick wall for half an hour after the second one. I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, my wife and I both. We were just like... we didn't. There were no happy endings in The Last of Us universe. They're not in the cards.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a madly optimistic person, but I don't know. I felt like yes, there's a lot of death and horror and pain and everything else. But at the end,
her family and her love.
Yeah, but at the end, Ellie's she's playing the guitar. She's seeing Dina's moved on with her life. Maybe she'll go back to her. Maybe life can still go on.
She's got 9 good fingers.
Yeah. There you go. It's just I don't know. It's like I don't want to get too personal here, but I lost my dad recently, and just the way that whole game is about processing the death of the father figure, isn't it? And I just think everything she goes through, just trying to process the anger, the sadness, the hope, just like thinking, can I move on now or can't I? Can my life still move on? It's I've never seen it portrayed better. Usually this revenge story, it's just like, you killed this person I loved, now I will kill you. Now I've killed you. The end. Yay.
Yeah, this is a lot more three-dimensional.
But yeah, it's never been like that. Whether you get revenge or not, at the end of the day, you're going to process it, and you're going to be processing it for the rest of your life. And I think that's what The Last of Us is. It's about processing
that's the lesson, though, isn't it?
She's
never, ever going to get over Joel's death.
No.
Never.
She'll never get over it. But the lessons she learned, the experience she's had, they'll always be there. And that's kind of why I felt that was a bit of the hope, just playing that song at the end. Because she's still got the memories,
I don't know. My interpretation of that was very different. She was trying to reconnect with Joel, but she'd lost her fingers,
so she couldn't. Right,
she couldn't connect with Joel anymore. And then she put the guitar down to almost say, that's enough.
That's exactly how I felt with it.
Yeah, and she looks around the room, and you go around the house, right? Everything has been stripped bare. There's nothing there. She's like, this whole pursuit of vengeance has cost her everything. It's even cost her connection to Joel. And I think like the ending was a realization of that.
I disagree.
Sad.
I think it almost cost her connection with Joel when she was strangling Abby, but then it didn't. She remembered that. She remembered that love. She remembered that tenderness. She didn't let herself become this person just of pure bitterness and hate. She pulled back. You know? I don't know. Maybe I'm very optimistic.
Could be both.
Could be both.
The mark of a good
Could be
human,
She
right?
kept some of her humanity, but she lost everything else.
Yeah.
She
no,
lost
that's the
Gina,
mark of a
she
good
lost
human.
the kid, she lost Joel.
Definitely, Heather. Definitely.
Yeah, well, anyway, yeah, I think that's what's so great about the game. You know, you can see it as the glass half empty or the glass half full. It's up to the player to interpret it.
Right.
Yeah, it's not black and white, and that's the mark of good storytelling.
And almost a year later, we're still talking about it.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, exactly.
Emotionally at that, so that's a testament to you.
Exactly.
Let's up the ante. Is it the best PS4 game of the PS4 generation?
That's a good. I think it probably is. I think it probably is. I think The Last of Us might have been the best PS3 game, and The Last of Us 2 might have been the best PS4 game.
It's hard to disagree.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I haven't played it yet because I don't have like the time to sink into something. So like every time John talks about it, I'm like, okay, it's on the list. Just I don't have the time, you know. But like, I don't know, man. I feel like that's such a title. Maybe we have to go over this and do like a whole like, what's the best PS4? Like wrap up the
time for that, yeah.
Maybe, and I think we're gonna have to. Yeah, we're gonna have to vote on it as well. I don't think we could dictate that.
Now that
We have a whole 2 PS5 exclusives are available now, so we can finally see that page in the console generation 6 months later has started in earnest.
Yes. I was just thinking of like, what could challenge the for the dominance of like the best game on the PS4. Then I thought like, Uncharted 4, and I was thinking, oh god, I really sound like a Naughty Dog fanboy now.
Oh, drunk man.
I love you.
I'd say it's a toss up between that and Persona 5 for me, probably.
Right. See that. But like having played Ghost of Tsushima for as long as like I said, when Jake finds a game, that's all he's playing. He stopped playing Samurai Warriors Spirit of Sonata that I got a code for in 2017 to play Ghost of Tsushima. So that's where we're at with games. And so I was like,
Dynasty Warriors will probably be the next one, right?
Maybe. I'm just like, I was literally at a point where I was like, you have to stop playing this game. Here is a different game.
They'd be running into your room and be like, have you heard of this Streets of Rage game? It's brilliant.
It was Samurai Warriors 5. That's what you said he was interested in, correct?
Yeah, he's interested in that because more like I know he's gonna like it, and
okay, the themes are there. I got you.
I usually choose a game for him, basically, is what it is, or I'll play a game and he'll like it, so he'll take over the game, and now I'm no longer playing the game because he has gotten so far that I can't go. I don't know what happened in the like Saints Row 3. There's like a blip in my memory because I stopped playing it and he continued. And I'm like, okay, that middle part, I don't really remember what happened. I just remember he was so like, damn it, I was playing. But,
so that taking on Ghosts and Goblins, that's kind of like an anomaly for him, huh?
It was more like a continuation of his childhood where he had played it to death as a child, but never beat it. Obviously, because that game is just pure punishment.
Oh, sure.
And so he was like, I can actually sit down and beat this in like 45 minutes. Cool, done. Like, but, anyway, so Ghost of Tsushima was one where I think we were both like, this is so perfect in a very different way, where it was like, maybe you're not like a broken and contrite spirit like maybe you were in The Last of Us 2. But that's not what that culture is, per se. It's a little bit different. Like, you feel things a little bit more subtly. Like, not to be so dramatic, but at the end of that one, it was like literally just a single tear ran down my cheek. Where I was like, "Oh, okay."
So you're saying like you're very Japanese and stoic, haiku. Then. Yeah, right.
Yeah, you were literally busy writing haikus and stuff, and it was just a different, and that's what I really valued. That's what I value about the PlayStation experience as a whole is you get a very different like amalgamation of games in what I felt was like the Xbox comparison, where it was like, okay, here's a bunch of FPS games, go like. Whereas PlayStation was more like, here's a lot of different games from different people, different minds, and you're like, and that was the culmination of that for me, which was I really judged it by its cover, where I was like, okay, great, it's another adventure game, like haven't played one of these before, and then like get into it, I'm like, no, I haven't played this before, this feeling that I have, like it really showed me like there's still like there's a chance for variation in a very tired formula in that sense.
I'm gonna have to drop.
Okay, all right.
On that note,
I hated that so much. I've got to go. No. I mean, you told me last time to play Ghost of Tsushima, and I really need to play it. And I promise, between now and the next podcast, I will play it.
No, but before then, I can't believe you haven't played Homeworld. If you love space games as much as you do, drop everything else and just play that one.
I'm going to do that immediately. And speaking of space games, they're remastering Mass Effect, aren't they? That's coming out in a week's time. So pretty excited for that because I love those games as well. Anyway, I'm going to go. It's my dog's barking, but it was really nice to see you all. Really nice to talk to you anyway.
All right.
All right.
See you later, John.
Good to see you.
Bye. All right. So, yes, Francis, I think you had something you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so last week, John and I had the chance to sit down with the folks at 1PR Studio, who graciously gave us the opportunity to check out an hour-long preview of the upcoming Earth Defense Force World Brothers. It's a voxel-based spin-off in the EDF series, where you battle giant bugs and blocky cities with a crazy assortment of guns. And the coolest part was we actually got to talk with Okajima-san, the game's producer, and it's looking pretty fantastic. What did you think, John?
I agree. I thought that the voxel art style, at first, I was a bit skeptical. I thought it looked a bit silly, but the more I look at it, the more I think, wow, just look at all these. There's so many different characters. There's so many more different characters than there are in the other EDF games.
100 of them.
Yeah, it's just like all their different abilities and everything else. And yeah, I'm really just like looking forward to it. Just like seeing how much more gameplay they can fit in with this more kind of lo-fi style.
It's kind of like Legos, like a Lego version of EDF in a way, the way it looks, and it kind of has that whole whimsical style too, which I think is pretty nice. Like you look at some of the more colorful. In this game, you start out as a single member of the EDF, and you rescue your comrades. And once you rescue them, they become part of your party, and you can swap between them. And we saw some pretty silly ones. EDF in and of itself is pretty goofy, but. What was the one? The windmill sister.
Yes, the Dutch
sister, one. Yeah. She just throws like a windmill in the middle of the city, and it can level entire buildings with gusts of wind and send bugs flying. Or the Amigo brother, who can play his guitar and buff everybody's skills, or he can just lob Molotov cocktails.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never really associated that with Amigos, but hey, I was thinking like stick grenade maracas would have been a better fit, but. I'll take Molotov cocktails. That's pretty cool.
It was just really... I've never done an interview, I think, where I've had it kind of translated for me. So, like, me and Francis were asking questions in English, and then this fellow was translating them to Okajima-san in Japanese. And he was answering in Japanese and translating them back to us. And there was this funny moment where, like, I was asking... sorry, I hope this isn't a silly question, but can you still sing in EDF?
Right.
Because
he loved it.
You could always, like, in the EDF games, you can always, like, sing, to defend a mother from any alien attack. And as soon as he translated the question, I could hear Okajima-san say, mochiron, which means, of course. So I immediately knew what his response was.
And you can sing the full song now, correct?
Yes, you can sing the full song. Every verse of it is an individual emote. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. Oh,
who was your favorite of the characters they revealed?
Oh, the Royal Guard.
Because he gave us a pretty extensive look. I guess it would have to be the Royal Guard.
The Royal Guard, obviously.
A good old beefeater, yeah.
You know, of course, the guards outside of Buckingham Palace who kind of march around. They basically got that kind of character. What was a bit annoying is that, like, the first question we were going to ask is, so, Okajima-san, why have you gone for a more voxel art style? And some other journalist who was there beat us to it. He asked it before we had a chance.
To be fair, when you look at it, that's the first thing that comes to your mind. So we knew it was coming,
Yeah, well, but the only reason that, we didn't do it because he got to it first. He was a bit faster on the draw.
You should have audibly jumped between the other journalist and Okajima-san like Kevin Costner in The Bodyguard. Got the question out ahead of him. Why did you choose voxel?
Because I kind of had to. Me and Francis had to quickly think of a few other questions just on the fly because they kind of stolen some of ours.
Thankfully, after an hour's worth of gameplay, though, we did get a lot of stuff to work off of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
The game looks like a lot of fun, though. I mean,
it does.
4-player co-op, EDF on your Switch. I have this nice fire pit in my backyard right now, and I've been spending pretty much every night at it. All I can think about is getting some friends together with beers or Switches, some EDF, and getting some 4-player co-op in. It sounds like it's going to be a blast. So, comes out later this month, correct?
Yes.
I think on the 25th as well.
And since you're already watching this YouTube video, go to our channel, go to uploads, and it will be fairly recent. Go to the EDF interview and preview, where you'll see a abridged version of our interview with Okajima-san. Please watch it, like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. You get the usual
EDF World Brothers, keep an eye on it.
Keep an eye on it, yes.
PS4, Switch, and Steam.
Okay, right. Okay, so, did anyone else have any kind of other things they wanted to talk about before we start wrapping up?
I had a question.
Last Judgment's coming out. That's pretty cool.
What was that? Yeah.
Last Judgment, the sequel to Judgment in the Yakuza series. That was confirmed. That's coming out in September for the US, so love the original. Pretty excited about that. Just want to say that's on our radar.
Do you know the one annoying thing about those games is they are so gigantic, but they put them out so fast?
Gargantuan. Dude, I think I've reviewed like 6 of them since 2015.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's like, I think
6 of them. They're like, at least if you're trying to rush, you're playing 40 hours. I mean,
exactly. Yeah, if you aren't playing any of the side stories, you're just
if you want to be a karaoke freaking star, you're playing 80 hours, man.
If you
want to run all those squat cars and take pervy pictures of girls, hundreds of hours.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're just playing the story missions, it's still going to take you like maybe 40 hours, 30, 40 hours,
30,
maybe?
40 hours. Yeah, totally.
If you just want to ignore all the side... Well, that's the thing, like, every street you walk down, someone's trying to rope you into a side quest. So it's almost impossible not to, really.
Right. I can't wait. I'm pumped.
Yeah, okay. So, like, for example, if, like, you wander down this street and, like, a little girl's saying, "Oh, no, I lost my teddy bear, kid, please come to the other side of town and help me." Like, how are you going to say no to that? Like, do you have no soul?
There's a kid waiting in line for Dragon Quest. You have to help him. Somebody stole his Dragon Quest, man.
Or, like, you're invited to become, like, the second half of a stand-up comedy duo. It's like, how can you say no to that? What's wrong with you?
Say no to that.
Oh, God. Right.
I have to say, as excited as I am, it's going to be a little hard going back to the beat-em-up Yakuza style, just because Yakuza 7, like a dragon, the switch to turn-based RPG combat was so satisfying. So, I mean, I love... What's that?
I don't think they're switching back. I think they're going to keep it as turn-based. Yeah.
Yes! I'm into it.
I didn't read it, but I did see like a couple different articles that said this. So I haven't read into it yet.
About Last Judgment?
No, Yakuza.
Oh, no, I'm saying for Last Judgment.
Okay.
No. It's going to see, like, going back from Yakuza 7 to playing Last Judgment. And like, I love beat 'em ups, but I so thoroughly enjoyed. And again, you can read my review of Yakuza Like a Dragon on the site. But I love that transition to turn-based RPG style combat. I thought it was so satisfying. So it's going to be kind of a step backwards for me going back to the beat 'em up combat of the old Yakuza games and Last Judgment. But still, like, I'm excited for another story. It's going to be awesome. So I can't wait. Nobody writes them like they do.
Yeah. Nobody has like giant golden castles coming out from underneath the earth, and then you have to fight tigers with your bare fists. Yeah,
or battling a bunch of middle-aged Yakuza in diapers in a nursery.
Diapers, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't kink shame me. Ah!
It's a simple. No, that's the thing. It wasn't even a kink. It was so genuine. That's what made it so much fun.
Yeah. Okay. So, does anybody else have any kind of other things they wanted to talk about before we wrap up?
I just had a question for people.
Okay.
I was thinking about this earlier. Is anyone else excited about the new Resident Evil reboot movie? Welcome to Raccoon City.
I mean, I'm definitely going to watch it, but I haven't watched the Resident Evil movie since the third one. So,
well, that's because the first ones were horrible. There's a reason for that. But this one actually has a decent cast from what I've seen.
Well, there was the previous one. What was it? Regeneration. It was supposed to be pretty good. The CG movie.
So. Yeah, the CG movies are okay.
Yeah.
As far as live action, it's like they have to prove themselves.
The CG movies are basically like long cutscenes from the
cutscenes. Exactly. Yeah.
Fine. Yeah.
No, I haven't. I mean, I'll watch it when it comes out. I'm definitely intrigued, and I think I'll be in the mood now with RE8, having just launched and whatnot.
Oh, I just wanted to remind everybody, by the way, a new Tropico 6 expansion has come out. You don't blink, you might have missed it. The first mission of the new expansion is like Presidente, the Teamsters are revolting. And then the intellectual says, Presidente, we should give people free housing, free social security, that kind of thing. And I'm thinking, oh god, well this is going to cost a lot of money. Then the industrialist comes and is like, Presidente, you don't want to give people free stuff like a liberal, do ya? If these Teamsters are a problem, we gotta replace them all with robots, Presidente. And the whole mission,
this sounds good.
It's like all the Teamsters are slowly going on strike, so you're running out of Teamsters, but you're replacing them with drones, like taxi drones and transportation drones. And yeah, it's very satirical, very dystopian. So yes, don't forget about that expansion, people. Very Tropico. Yeah,
very Tropico.
Tropico 6. I do have one kind of shameless plug, but I'll be quick. So my game is TerraGenesis. It's a mobile terraforming simulator where you can take Mars or the moon or whatever, and you can terraform it to be like Earth. Recently, we have partnered with something called Ecology. It's an organization that they plant trees, but they also do things that reduce your carbon footprint around the world. So they help with recycling recycling waste to make biogas, or they give people more fuel efficient cook stoves that stop deforestation. So our game has partnered with them. Basically, you can play the game. You don't have to pay anything, but what you do is over time, you'll collect points that you can turn into literal trees. So you can just play it and you're like, oh, cool. I planted 40 trees in Madagascar or Mozambique or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we are, as of yesterday, I haven't checked today. We are number 7 on the business board with 250,000 trees planted in a month. So it's our players. They're amazing. But yeah, so if you guys are I want to do some good, but I really don't want to get off my couch or even my phone, you can literally just play this game and it'll plant trees for you.
Right.
So yeah, shameless plug, but
yeah. Awesome cause.
TerraGenesis, people, check it out.
TerraGenesis
Steam
mobile
and mobile, right?
So it's Windows, but the Ecology thing, we haven't updated the Windows version yet. So it's Android and iOS. Yeah. Yep. And it's
Okay,
great.
shameless plug. Which we fully support. We fully support. This is the time for shameless plugs. We're winding up right now. Any last shameless plugs or final words before we wrap things up? No.
Read our shit.
Read our shit. Yes. Okay. Well, the obvious thing is go to HeyPoorPlayer.com, like and subscribe, ring the bell, ring my bell, baby. You know, the standard YouTuber stuff. There we go. Okay. With that obligatory stuff out of the way, I have been Jonathan Trussler. That's been Heather Johnson-Yu. That's been Josh Speer. That's been our glorious editor-in-chief, Francis DiPersio. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. That's been another wrap for another episode of the Hey Paul podcast. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye! Wait. Before you go, be sure to check out HeyPaulPlayer.com for more Hey Paul content and check out all our social media. And don't forget to check out my Twitter as well. That's me, Jonathan Trussler. Well, it's really the final goodbye now. Bye!